Every time I tell someone one of the crazy stories in my life, they always tell me I need to write a book. And every time I've thought of writing a book, two stories always come up first. Let's start with the fun one. Hi, I'm Scape, and these are stories based on true events of how I rewrote my story and broke free of negative habits, disorders, addictions, and more. Join me on a scapegoat where I'll answer your questions, help you find solutions, and get past hurdles through stories, tips, tricks, and techniques. As far back as I can remember, I have masturbated. It's called toddler masturbation, infantile masturbation, or it has many names. And all I remember was always looking for the corner of furniture. I loved fornicating with a good piece of furniture. I would balance my crotch right on the corners of this desks, chairs, sofa, armrests, and keep jiggling myself until I reached the point of what I used to call kithimini. I don't know if in my language kithimini is a real term or if it's a slang term for tickling. I felt like my whole being was being tickled. I used to tell my mom, my grandma, anybody close to me, I would tell them, look at what I can do. It feels so good. You should try it. And then balance perineum, the gooch, the taint. And as I grew older, I started realizing more of myself. If I kissed the desk that was right in front of my face, it felt more intense. It felt more sensational. Time went on, and then I would see a lot of these magazines where a woman would be behind a frosted glass, so you can hardly see her body, maybe a blurry silhouette, but her ankle and her foot would show out of the shower. And that was enough to trigger me. Now I knew, as soon as I think of a woman, her curves, her smooth skin, combined with the magic of kithimini, I would get to a point of no return like I've never felt before. As you can imagine, the older I got, the more excitement I found in things. But this meant that because I started so young, I would need stronger and stronger hits of this sensation. I would need stronger and stronger turn-ons. And my mind has always been the favorite turn-on. I can take it to places, situations, fantasies, just like how Nancy Friday explains in her books, which by the way will be linked below. So toddler masturbation was one thing which would turn into something as I grew older. The second story is a darker one. I remember my dad's strong hand grabbing my mother's head and forcefully moving it towards our house door, the entrance. The part where my mother's head met with the door is totally blacked out. I don't remember that small bit. But it caused a big change in me. Is someone who professes so much love for the other meant to do this to another person? Is this really love? It's someone I look up to, my hero. So it has to be love. When I love someone, I'm going to have to do that to someone too. The next thing I remember is seeing my brother crying and trying to stop my father. Because he was crying, I started crying. And my grandmother got involved too. She tried to stop what was going on. But by now, my father and mother were at the front gate, and I think I remember seeing her head being smashed against the gate pillars as my dad shouted to her and reminded her whose house this is. We lived next to two schools, so the high school next to us, all the boys had gathered near the window looking at what was happening. I still wouldn't know the kind of seed it had planted in my psyche. That would show up decades later. These two stories are more connected than I ever thought they would be. There is a big connection between the push and the pull of love, lust, sex, and violence and anger. These are some of the stories we'll cover in future episodes. Thanks for listening. I honestly hope you found value in this episode. I'd love for you to share your thoughts or questions and appreciate it if you helped others discover this podcast. My biggest request to you is to never give up on yourself. A child has to fall down a lot before it finds balance and then manages to take a step before falling again and then learns to walk and so on. Let's run towards our best selves together. Escape.